Hi all you cute fluffs. Today we are looking at some positive news from Fox 61 News. So let's get into it.
People have a hobby. For some,
So this is pretty interesting.
fishing is their thing, or they play sports, read, or maybe cross stitch. And there are some people that like.
So it's quite nice to see that some people, it's bringing up a nice point about how people have their own hobbies besides just furry stuff. So it's a good introduction and it's good to see. Let's continue.
Like to dress up in a fox suit and hang out with others who do the same. They're called furries. And for those who are a part of the furry fandom, they say they're largely misunderstood.
Which is true. This fandom does get a lot of misunderstandings and stuff, and it's not that easy sometimes. But it's working out eventually. So it's definitely something to see this, and yeah, I would love to see more people talk out about this. Not only just furries, but others who have things that are just being misunderstood, and yeah.
On a sunny September day at Elizabeth Park, the walkers are smiling, squirrels and ducks are scurrying about, and a fox and hyena are cuddling.
That is absolutely adorable. I've got to say that's pretty good capturing of a moment, and definitely true. A lot of us furs just like to hang out and, well, cuddle in fursuits because it's absolutely adorable. Let's continue.
This is something that is an escape from like, oh, I don't have to go to work today. Maybe I can dress up as an animal.
And that is so true. A lot of furries just, well, it's a form of escapism. Perhaps bored or maybe just feeling a little bit down. Many of us just want to, have ourselves a fursuit or something that we can do. Some of us may not have a fursuit, and some of us use virtual reality or just like to make art. It's a various thing. The fandom's a little bit interesting when it comes to various kind of corners of the fandom. For instance, there's me who just like to do art. Like for instance, one of the people that I got some art from, Juniper, makes these amazing made this amazing piece of art of my Sona as a tar, and it's a really amazing piece of art. Go, if you know him, you may know him for his amazing art, and thank you, Barra. It's amazing work he does on stuff. Let's continue.
Jake Bean and Shay Lopez are furries. In their fursuits, they become Sylvester and Ohanu.
Aw, that's a really cute name. Those are really cute names.
It's completely odd, but it's our odd thing, and I love it.
And it's true. The fandom is a very bizarre thing, especially from the outside perspective. For instance, you wouldn't normally see someone wearing a mask or a full bodysuit, which is an animal costume in the most part. It's definitely an odd thing, but, well, so are a lot of other communities can be odd. But at the same time, there's a lot of other cosplayers who, well, play as a character. Most of the time it's things like, from D&D and games and anime and all that. And, yeah, to some it's pretty much the same thing, but they've made their own character. They've made their own design, and it's them in a perspective in a way. Eh.
A furry is someone who has a keen interest in and may dress up as anthropomorphic animals. That is, animals who have human characteristics, like the ability to talk or walk on hind legs.
This is definitely a true thing. It's great to see that people are understanding this part. Many furries just, well, are anthro. Yeah. So it's nice to see this is being brought up, and it explains a little bit about what furries are. And this is definitely a cool thing to see, and definitely nice to know.
A lot of people think it's all about dressing up in animal costumes and running around, which is a part of it, but it's a big community of just people who share the similar interest getting together, and it's a huge friend group.
It definitely is that way, and it shows off. I like how they're showing off that there is more than just the fursuits, and it's always about there's also a bit of a community to us. So it's quite nice to see this side of it, where we're more or less part of a community that is, well, yeah, it's a very diverse community spanning over various continents and countries. And it's a pretty open community for most to join, for pretty much anyone to join. We're about being accepted and all that. Yeah, it's a really great thing to see this. And also all these adorable fursuits, like amazing. So yeah, let's check it out some more.
Walking through the park, the couple are very aware of the looks and whispers. They're used to it. The most common reaction from people is, "That's weird."
It is weird.
Yep, and it's nice to see that that they're going about their day and enjoying themselves. This is why I love being furry. Being proud of who I am, but also at the same time, well, accepting that I may be a bit different than others. But I'm okay with that, because that's my identity. I like to stand out a bit sometimes. It may make me look a little odd, but hey, I'm okay with that.
But that's the joy of it. That's the beauty of it. It's the entire community is embracing that weirdness.
Exactly. Being myself, I may be odd, but I accept that, and I enjoy it.
And just kind of rolling with it.
There are several misconceptions about furries that they'd like to clear up. They say being a furry is not a fetish, and no, they don't really think they're animals.
Which is true. The fandom is not about, well, all about NSFW. Yes, there is a small part that can be, but that's not overall majority of it. Most of the fandom is about making art and enjoying being furry and anthropomorphic media, such as, for instance, well, movies like Zootopia and many others that have anthro characters. For me anyways, it's always been about enjoying the amazing art that I see, cool fursuits, and also the amazing media that other furries create. There's also animators as well, for instance, who make amazing animations out there that are some of the really nicest stuff and really wholesome too. So, yeah, it's definitely more than just, well, someone thinking that it's a kink, which it ain't.
But they do take on the fursona.
Well, Ahanu is a crazy character. I like to say that, we're kind of the same person, and it's more of an act, really. You jump in that character and you just lose yourself amongst the way.
Both.
This is something I definitely feel. I sometimes, when I become Vulcanax, I become this, well, curious, brave little dragon that likes to just, well, be myself. I like to just explore and, have fun and cuddle and all that. You definitely will notice it when some fursuiters will get into their fursuit. They may change character in a way. It's a kind of a thing that some other communities may have too. Once they get into a character, they become more part of it. It's something that maybe you may realise when you're doing it or not. Yeah, pretty cool though. And seeing it from the perspective of a fursuiter, it can be a lot more easier to understand.
Say they don't do normal daily activities in the fursuit. Most furry fan activities happen online and at furry conventions.
Which is true. Most of my day-to-day activities aren't done in fursuit. Most of the things I do when I'm wearing this are having fun or just little skits online, live streaming, and so on. There's a lot of various conventions and virtual meetups that happen. Various things such as, for instance, some people make furry meetup groups on various streaming services that will allow you to stream your webcam to each other. Things like Discord, for instance.
Like this one recently at Kineticon.
Ooh, Kineticon. I'll have to take a look at that. Quite a nice little community, I hope.
At the Connecticut Convention Center. They also put on the fursuits to raise money for ALS and other charities.
Oh, yes. That's great to see. So, a lot of communities, well, some communities out there that I'm aware of, will raise money. And the furry fandom is known for helping to raise money for things like ALS Foundation. Which is if you want to know what ALS is, it's a pretty nasty condition that causes people to lose muscle mass and a few other things like that. maybe it's something you may want to look into if you want to help. There is obviously ways to donate to it yourself, but there's also the communities who will do streaming, such as my friend Kit the Solace, who does streams of, for instance, does live streaming. And what he does, he has a link below to, well, donate to, he has a link below on his channel to donate to things like, for instance, ALS. There's a lot of donation streamers who out there will make this kind of thing possible, which is nice to see people doing. Well, let's continue with this.
And we've raised over tens of thousands of dollars. So it's absolutely incredible that our community has this sense of charity to it, because everyone should have charity, right?
Bingo. So it's definitely nice to see a charitable community like ours. And yes, I do donate money from time to time. It helps the community get a good vibe, and it also helps others out with various illnesses. There's various charities that fandoms actually go through, and I hope sooner enough that maybe some of the New Zealand FurCons will have some charity once everything gets well established. But let's continue.
More than anything, these two want people to know furries are friendly. They're just having fun. Think of it as their own version of Neverland.
That's a good way of seeing it. We all have our little world that we like to make up in our heads. And I think the best way to describe it is furries, instead of keeping it in their head, we kind of, well, we let it out. And it's quite a nice way of explaining we just like to openly imagine ourselves differently. And it's nice to see this being positively shown in the world around us. Not everyone's going to be, positive about the fandom, but not everyone's going to understand it. And maybe some out there want to understand. And it's nice to see people, especially news groups these days, actually giving a positive spin on the fandom and trying to understand it instead of, make it look like it's something that it's not. Well, it's nice to see. Let's continue.
It's taking a break from reality for a couple of minutes.
This is something that I can definitely understand. Sometimes I get a little bit stressed or just need to take a break from something. And I go and just, I become my character. I become my persona. And things become a lot more relaxed. It's a lot more easier. It's a good way to cope for me to help me relax. And honestly, it really does help a lot. We all have a thing that helps us cope. Some of us, maybe we're a little bit stressed out. We pick up a controller and start playing some games. Some of us, turn on the TV to watch our favourite show. It's a way we all find a way to cope. And, it's great to see this sort of stuff.
Especially now with the whole situation with the pandemic and everything.
The community is wide open to everyone. If you feel like you need a place to belong, this community will welcome you with open arms.
This is so true. This community brings in so many people, and it's great to see. And I honestly really do think that this community does help a lot. There are some things that I could say otherwise, but most part, we try our best to make the community a positive place for all to come, no matter where you're from or your background or anything. Definitely a great way to see this community in a more positive light. And I really do think that we are moving more and more to better things. There are times when I can say otherwise, but I honestly think that we are doing our best, and it's great to see.
I have made some of the best friends I've ever had through this community.
Definitely the same too. I've made some really amazing friends in this community, and it brings me great positive light to see this. I don't know where I'd be without this community. I honestly don't. Over the years, I've made many friends, and the fandom, they've been the most longest and most bestest of friends. Sometimes, some of my friends have moved on, but, things happen. I'd rather move on and think of make new friends and do new things and go new places. And honestly, the fandom has provided me with just that. And it's great. It really is. For anyone who's not furry and is just curious, the fandom has been a great home for me. And it's up to you. If you want to join the fandom, it's up to you, and it's a great place to hang out and just chill. There's a lot of artists, and you don't have to have a fursuit. You don't have to have, anything in particular. You can just be an enjoyer of art and the fandom itself. Perhaps you just like watching people dance around in fursuits. Or perhaps you like the animations people make, memes, and etc. There's so much to this community that sometimes doesn't go noticed in these sorts of media, in these types of media things. And it's quite nice to see, and yeah. Let's continue.
Now, like with all hobbies, the cost of being a furry can be costly, and it also varies.
It definitely does. It depends on if you're just getting into wanting to make art. Obviously, things like art pads and all that for doing art can be a little bit expensive, but it's up to you. I would recommend, if you're planning on getting into things, to take a look at the price, and also one other thing, don't be too daunted by a price. Save up, and you may be eventually able to afford a simple fursuit. Or, if you're really feeling comfortable with it, making something yourself. Well, many times when I've seen fursuits get made when someone tries to make a fursuit for the first time, it doesn't end always the best. But hey, you're practicing, and it's where it starts. A lot of fursuit makers start out not doing too well, but if you keep at it, your fursuits will look amazing. Same with art, of course, as well.
They start with a few $100s, and they can go up to a couple thousand, and that's just for the head.
Which is true. Some fursuit heads can go for quite huge amounts of money. A lot of work goes into them. Takes a long time to make these, and that's why it costs so much. These things are handcrafted. They're not made in a factory. Not any really good ones anyways. There has been a lot of people always asking why do they cost so much, and it's because they take a long time to manufacture. Months and months of hard work go into them. A lot of labour and a time and effort. That's why they cost so much. And that's why also they mean a lot to a fursuiter. Whenever you see a fursuiter wearing these, they are very expensive and very cherished items. They mean a lot to the owners.
Almost all of them are custom made to fit the person who owns it.
Which is definitely true. There are a lot of them that are custom designed and made especially for the user. There are sometimes some fursuit makers will make ones that are pre-mades. These are ones that are sold and usually have a normal kind of sizing to them, kind of like small, medium, large. But they normally are made so that you can buy one, and this is perfect if you don't have a Sona yet, but you want to get a fursuit, and you could probably design your Sona around that fursuit. Some people do this, but it's not as common. I think this was a really good little video. There were some things that were missed, like how there is an art side to the fandom and there is an animation side as well. There is more to this fandom than just fursuits, and that's a definite true fact. So I give this video a 9. It's a really good video. Good one to watch to get people to understand what fursuiting is about, and definitely gives people a good perspective on it. I really do hope to see more people like this in the future doing content about the fandom in a positive light. And hopefully to anyone who watched this got a good positive spin out of it. And it's good to see. I hope to do more videos like this if this works out. And yeah, I hope that the people in this video have a brilliant life, and it was amazing to see them open up like this. It's not an easy thing to do this, and especially if it was put on public TV, but it does help the community a lot in the run. Sometimes it can be a little hard, but the fandom is overall quite an accepting place for us all. And yeah, thanks for you all watching, and thank you to anyone who subscribes and all the rest. I've got a Patreon below if you want to help me support me in any way. I don't really have much up there, but maybe at some point I'll try and figure something out that's specially just for patrons. But I've also got a Discord, and my other social media is linked below if you wish to follow me. I've also got a PO box if you wish to send me anything. Anyways, I hope you have a brilliant day, and see us all around soon.